So you want to be an Adele. So you want to be one of the best mobbing and bossing classes in all of Maple, currently. Then you've come to the right class. So in the beginner tab, we have a few skills. The first one will take you back to this area, your hometown. At level 200, you get the typical 4% attack power and magic attack power skill. You also get magic conversion, which will take 35% of your magic attack that's on your equips, and only 15% of it from your weapon, and turn into attack power. However, do not scroll your things for magic attack. Next we have the quest skill. So to get this skill maxed out, you have to do the tutorial stuff in the beginning, all of the story things, all the way up to level 30, and then you have to continue leveling Adele until you fully complete her story to get this to level 10. But as you can see, it gives you really good stats, so it's worth doing. Blessing the Fairy, just level up characters. Empress Blessing, level up a Cygnus Knight to level that up. And then the Link skill gives you 4% boss damage, as well as 2% additional damage, like not boss damage, but just regular damage, for up to 8%, depending on how many party members you have. So really good if you're going on like boss runs with a full party. Really good Link skill to have. Next, this is a strength class, so you'll be adding into strength, and you'll have all of your skills maxed out. So don't worry about what order you max out the skills, just do whatever you want. And Adele's Legion effect gives you strength. Oh, and the weapon, of course. Looks like a glove, but it's a blade caster. So, let's go into first job. Blade of Will is your main attack. It looks really cool because it has like this little smoke effect at the end. Magic Dispatch, which will summon 5 swords to just, I guess, fly around and hit enemies in the area. Jaunt is your flash jump, which of course you can put it on a key, or you can double tap your jump key. You can also jump upwards by holding up while in the air, and then pressing jump. High Rise, which if you double tap up, you'll stay floating in the air for a little bit. And you can also attack while you're floating. So, pretty good for that. Also, if you do it, you can actually jump out of it, or you can press it again to cancel it. I feel like this might be useful for like dodging maybe dragon or something if Lucid summons a dragon, but I don't think you stay in the air long enough. And then a passive. You get 60% knockback resist. Don't worry, later on you do get the other 40%, but not yet. So let's go ahead and show a bit of mobbing. So the attack is pretty good. It's kind of fast. I have to take off this skill. There we go. So without booster, you can see it's still pretty quick. Hits a little bit above you. And yeah. Then of course you have the dispatch, which will just fly around. Doesn't really have that great range on it, unless you're above the enemies, and then it'll like fly around more. Like that. So yeah. That's pretty much your first job training, not too crazy. Moving on to second job. We have Aether Weaving, which will actually give you this thing you see here. And pretty much over time, this will fill up. I'm going to go ahead and... let me do that. Get rid of the swords. So you can see over time, I'm not even doing anything. It'll fill up by 15 every few seconds. However, if you also hit enemies with trigger skills, which are pretty much your main attacking skills, you'll also see that it goes up. Just like that. For now, you cannot summon your swords, but I'm just letting you know that's pretty much how you charge your energy for now. Aether Crystal. So by using certain skills, or by certain skills activating, a crystal will be spawned. And that crystal is only really used for Resonance Rush. Every time Resonance Rush hits an enemy, you gain 5% final damage and 5% ignore enemy defense, which can stack up to 3 times. So I'll go ahead and do it again. And you can see up here, I have 2 stacks of it right now. And now I have the full 3. So I guess while I'm talking about those skills, let me talk about Impale. Impale allows you to throw forward a sword, which turns into a crystal, which of course you can then use Rush to teleport into it. Resonance Rush, I already explained pretty much what buff it gave you, but pretty much it will teleport you to a crystal in that location. So let's say I have a crystal up there, but I also have one in that direction, to the left. I would have to press, I guess, to the right and also jump so I can reach that one. Otherwise, it'll just teleport to the one in front of you. Impale. I mean, you've already seen it by now. I've used it a bunch of times. But it's pretty much used for either placing a crystal, which you won't really have to do later on, or you can use it with Rush in a combo, like this, which will not place a crystal, but it will give you the buff and also get you out of danger if you don't see any crystals that you can teleport to. It's a really good combo. You can do it in 8 directions, you know, up, down, left, right, and the diagonals. Very useful. And anything else I want to say about those two? Not really. Aether Arms. This will make it so that you don't have to activate the first job skill anymore. You can see right there it activated automatically, so you no longer have to activate this first job skill. You can take that off your keyboard. And instead put that on, because that's a toggle. Your next toggle is Aether Forge, which will, as you can see, put swords behind you. And depending on how many swords you have in this thing, is the more damage it'll do. So you can see there, it did like a whole bunch of lines. However, if I had not as many swords in there, so if I activate it now, you can see it doesn't activate it doesn't hit as many times. So it's really good to have at least 3 swords in here when you're using Aether Forge. Or, I'm sorry, it's a toggle, so as you attack. And then you get Booster. Oh, I'm sorry, Skewering is your new mobbing skill, by the way. Yeah. Alright, so then we get passives. I'm just gonna hover over them so you can see. You get to heal yourself, you get damage, and strength. So now moving on to third job, you get Eviscerate. Now this skill is very pretty. I love it. Definitely one of my favorites. Which is of course your new mobbing skill. It's also a trigger skill, so yeah. Hunting Decree. Third job is when you finally get to summon your swords. However, you still only get to summon up to 4 swords. You get your 6 swords in fourth job. But yeah, Hunting Decree is the skill you use to summon your swords. And then there's Noble Summons. Oh, by the way, as the swords hit enemies, there's a 15% chance for them to turn into a crystal. As you can see, there's a crystal up here. It's a very low chance, but there's other skills that of course will give you a much higher chance to create a crystal. Oh, speaking of creating crystals, the slashes right there, actually 100% chance to create a crystal. The Aether Forge skill, yeah, whenever that hits something, it gives you a 100% chance to summon a crystal. So as you can see, these crystals pretty much play a big part in what you're going to be doing. It's mainly just used for Rush though. So Noble Summons. This skill is very good, because when you use it, it'll return the swords to you, or to the location that you use the swords. Now, this can also be used as a way to regain energy into your sword meter. Let me try to use it over here, maybe. There we go. So it hit a few enemies. Didn't really recover that much, but it does recover the more enemies you hit with it. Also, the enemies hit with it also get their, their defense reduced. So, of course, 10% ignore enemy defense. And there you can see I gained like a lot of sword energy for doing that. Rain of Destruction, very good skill. It's basically a thing that you place down, it just does damage. At the end of the skill, it explodes and does a lot of lines. I don't know if I'm going to be able to show that, because it's going to kill them before it does. Yeah, whatever. True Nobility. I think I have that on this button. So as you or your party members take damage, I'm not really taking that much damage here, so it's not activating. But you will take 30% of the damage that you... Or, okay, let's say someone is your party, they take a hit. You take 30% of that damage, and then 80% of that damage is turned into a shield. Does that... I guess I would have to actually show it, huh? It's a defensive skill, basically, and it's very good. So, you take damage, 30%... You take 30% of the damage that your party members took. 80% of that damage that you took from your party members will be turned into a shield. Okay, hopefully that made more sense. Either way, very useful skill, I would use it a lot. Especially in boss parties. But again, if you're not in a party, it also works for you, so you can also just use it for yourself. Feather Float, think of it like a backstep. You can cancel animations with it, however you don't really need to use it for that. There's no animation cancels with this class, that I know of at least, that are useful. But yeah, it's mainly used just to get away. So like if I'm attacking, and I notice my animation is taking a little bit too long and I'm about to get hit, just Feather Float. It also counts as a teleport, so you can teleport through Lotus's laser with it. And then we get passives. So I'll just hover over them. This one just gives you overall damage to everything. And then this one gives you the rest of your knockback resist, as well as some other bonuses. Moving on to fourth job, we get your main mobbing and bossing skill, which has 3 different animations: the sword slash, the double sword slash, and the 2 spinning swords. All of them are the same. It's just different animations, but it's the same skill, same animation, or not same animation, same hitbox, so don't even worry if you get like certain skills, or different animations for it. It all has the same effects. So then we get Bloom. And Bloom, of course, can only be used if you have swords out. When you press the key, the swords will spin in place, and I think it has a 50% chance to summon a crystal. Yep. When it hits an enemy, it has a 50% chance to create a crystal. This is also very, very good for bossing. So, like, I've seen people do Return, and then Blossom. However, you cannot combo it, so you can't, like, return the swords to your location and then spin them right after. They do have to like kind of respawn before that happens. But still, very good skill. Love using it. Grave Proclamation. Oh my god, I can't speak! Grave Proclamation. My goodness, I don't know why that was so hard. Think of it like parrot targeting for what do you call it? For Corsair, in a way. So, your swords normally just randomly fly around the map, hitting enemies. They like fly in huge arcs. However, if you use Grave Proclamation, the swords will travel at a more better angle to like just come back to that one enemy. That one enemy, or they'll also be the main target of the swords, by the way. But that one enemy will also take 20% extra damage, and you will ignore 10% more of their defense. Aether Guard. So this skill, when you use it, the longer you hold it down, the longer the cooldown. But if you just like tap it for a little bit, then you get a very short cooldown. In fact, let me read it here. So the normal cooldown is 60 seconds if you hold it all the way. Can be held up to 8 seconds. But the skill's cooldown is reduced by 4 seconds for every second remaining of the cooldown. So I'm going to go ahead and use it again. I'm going to try to get the iframe. So if you guard an attack in the beginning of the skill, you get a 4-second iframe. So let's go ahead and try that now. There we go. So now we can't take damage for 4 seconds. And then if you miss the iframe window, you can still continue to hold it down and reduce the damage that you take by 40%. So it's also a very good defensive skill. even if you miss the iframe window. Alright, so next is Plummet, which I pretty much never use. Like, I don't even have it on my keyboard. And it is a trigger skill, so it does count for Aether Forge and as well as giving you energy. Cooldown's pretty short. Has really good damage, a really good hitbox. As in it, like, hits, like, left, right, and below you very well. Like, I can probably do it here and it'll still hit above me. So yeah, very, very good skill, especially if you're trying to reach the ground faster. I just don't use it. Like, if I want to get down, I just do rush. Like, I just do this combo, where I just impale and then rush. But, I have seen people use it, and it is a skill worth using. I just don't, personally. Alright, so, yeah, and again, it just does damage. Next is Heroes, or, not Heroes Will. Maple Warrior, basically. This will give you and your party members 15% all stats. Hero's Will gets rid of any abnormal status on you, or almost any, and also makes you immune, or pretty much prevents you from getting hit by another abnormal status for 3 seconds after you use it. Then we have more passives. Got some mastery, some more damage buffs, final damage and ignore enemy defense, as well as some boss damage, crit rate, HP, and like attack. It's pretty nice, pretty nice. So, I guess we'll move on to hypers now. So for hyper passives, I added trigger reinforce, trigger boss rush to increase the damage of your trigger skills, pretty much your main skills. So yeah, I increase the damage as well as the boss damage. Resonance rush. This makes it so that whenever you teleport into a crystal, you gain some meter. Oh, you know, I forgot to mention. Remember how I mentioned Noble Summons gives you energy when it hits an enemy? After the Adele nerf, that will no longer be the case. So the main source of, like, energy is hitting enemies and rushing into the crystal. Also, the swords only last 20 seconds. I also forgot to mention that. They last for 20 seconds, but after the nerf, they will last for 40 seconds. However, instead of doing 2 lines, they will do 1 line. Okay, anyway, back to hypers. I also increased the duration of Reign of Destruction, because it just doesn't last long enough on its own. I also decreased the cooldown of Bloom, because Bloom is an amazing skill, and if I get to use it more often, more quickly, I would definitely take it. However, I have seen people take out either out of the duration of destruction or out of the bus, like out of this, in order to add into one of these three. This one gives you 1 second of extra invincibility, so you're invincible for 5 seconds when you use guard. This one I've seen people put into. I don't really know what it does, I haven't used it myself, but I'm sure it's useful. You can read it there, it seems very good. And then this just gives you, instead of 4% HP and MP every 5 seconds, you now get 7. I don't really see that being extremely useful, but if you want to. But yeah, those are the ones I did. I did that, and then these three. Now for active hypers. Shardbreaker will create crystals in a random area in the map. I'm going to go back up here so I can show you. And it'll create a lot of them. It also does some really good damage too. So you can see, even if I'm down here, it'll hit up here. And then in the spot that it exploded, it'll create crystals. So you can just teleport to them. I like to use that skill right before I start bossing, like right before I initiate the fight. Or, it's the first skill I use when I'm fighting a boss, basically. Because then I have the crystals down and I don't have to worry about anything. Next is Blade... Oh, I guess there's probably more to that skill, huh? Nope. So, Blade Torrent. This is a bind skill. Of course, these enemies will die if I use it, so it's not really gonna show there, but yeah, it just binds enemies for 10 seconds. Has a 180 second cooldown. By the way, this one you get at 140, this one at 160, and this one at 190, which increases damage of all floors in your party by 10%, including yourself. So next is 5th Job. And in 5th Job, you get Ruined, which, I mean, just look at this. So what it does is it brings down this like giant sword that does a lot of damage. You'll see when I do my boss section, like, oh my god, it does so much damage. And then it does like this little explosion at the end that does even more damage, and it only has a 60-second cooldown. Very, very good. Infinity Blade I'll show at the end, because that's the skill everyone wants to see. Legacy Restoration will heal you and your party members by at level 1, 4.78 of your max HP. And let's see. Oh, and it of course increases your damage and gives you 2 extra swords. So instead of only having the ability to summon 6 swords, so now I'm at the limit. If I use the skill, then I can summon 8. If I can find some enemies, jeez. There we go. So now I can have 8 swords. And let's see. It also does damage over time. Like if I just stand here, it'll just do damage to enemies around me. Kinda reminds me of the Flora passive skill. Oh, I should also mention that you regain Aether much faster with that skill activated as well. Did I say Ether or Aether? I hope I said Aether. Maybe it's pronounced Ether? I don't know, I call it Aether. And of course the cooldown's 180 seconds. Now for the skill everybody loves to see. Infinity Blade, or Unlimited Blade Works. 180 second cooldown. But you summon 20 swords. After the nerf it'll be 18 swords. And they do crazy amounts of damage. So let's go ahead and use it. Look at that. And then of course you could summon your own swords. It's insane. They will not summon, or they will not work with noble summons, they don't blossom. So they're mainly just there to do extra damage. Like they're just there to just target enemies and kill them for you. But yeah. That's that skill. It also gives you invincibility frames when you first use it, as well as when it ends. And I think that's it. Oh, let me talk about the... whatchamacallits. the boost nodes. Alright, so for boost nodes, I would recommend leveling up... let me see where it is. Okay, so I would recommend leveling up Aether Forge, also levels up Noble Summons. Reign of Destruction, Cleave, Hunting Decree, Blossom, and I know there's one more. Where is it? And Rush. So, pretty much everything on this top line. Well, Reign of Destruction isn't like super necessary, but like these three are definitely necessary. They're like super important. As well as Forge. So in terms of importance, I would say Forge, Cleave, and Hunting Decree are like your most important. Like that's your first trio, basically. Like those are important skills. And then after that would be like Blossom, Impale. I made a mistake here. Do not do Rush, do Dispatch, and Ethereal Arms instead. And Destruction? Yeah, I think that's the case. Definitely tell me if I'm wrong in the comments. I know some people have said like, oh, I need like 6 nodes, but I think you only need 4. I mean, you can have 6 if you really want to. Like, pretty much on all my classes I have 6. Or at least I cover all the skills. But anyway, that's pretty much it. I guess I'll show some mobbing and some bossing. I noticed that I also didn't show 2nd job, 3rd job, and 4th job training and stuff, so maybe I'll do that there. Do that now. Just put it into the section. Anywho, let's go ahead and do that. Alright, so to explain what I like to do when I train Adele. Goodness. So what I like to do is don't summon all the swords at the same time. What I like to do is like wait a little bit and then summon the next pair of swords. Mainly because if you summon them all at the same time, then they're all going to run out at the same time. And then you have to hope that you have 3 swords in there again. So pretty much I just, every like, I don't know, maybe 2 attacks, then I'll summon a sword. You can do it however you want, however you feel comfortable. Especially after the nerf, it'll be a lot less strict timing. Because instead of 20 seconds, the swords will last for 40 seconds. But yeah, that's how I do it. And then of course you can use this skill. Makes training extremely easy. Yeah, I leveled up. But yeah, that is Adele's skills. I guess now I'll move on to bossing. And again, this class is very easy to level, very strong. Just overall like great class to play. Alright, so let's move on to bossing. Alright, so first we'll take down Horntail. First 2 heads won't be very interesting, I guess. Because I'm not really going to summon any swords too much. I'm not really going to use my 5th job. Well, I'll use one of my 5th jobs. I'll use this one. But yeah, aside from that, not really going to be using any other skills. Mainly going to be saving my skills for the main body. Alright. So now the real fun begins.
I swore an oath. Be gone. You are mine.
So yeah, as you can see, Adele is quite powerful. Oh, for anyone who wants to see my range. So I forgot to mention that your swords, if you, let's say, summon them in this map, and then move to another map, they will not come with you. So I might just skip until I get to like Hilla or something, because I think Von Leon's gonna die too fast. So yeah, I'll get to Von Leon and then yeah. I'll see you there. Yeah. Alright, so here we are at Hilla. I'm gonna go ahead and damage her until she does damage reflect. So that I can show you the true power. Alright, after this I'll bind and use everything. Alright, here we go.
I remember. Too late for regret.
Yeah, as you can see, very strong class.
Seek. Sword of destruction.
My goodness. And yeah, that was Hilla. So pretty much all I was doing was using Cleave, the main mobbing, or main attacking skill. When I rushed into her, what I would do, because rush technically puts you into the spot of the monster, I would rush forward. Wait, what? Oh, you can't use the skill on the map. Okay, whatever. Probably do it in here, though. So I would rush, and then I would teleport backwards. Just to give myself some space instead of, you know, staying on top of the monster. But yeah, that was pretty much what I was doing, summoning the swords, and yeah, that's pretty much how I play Adele. So if anyone has any tips to give me that I can maybe make like another video, I didn't go over all the nerfs that are going to be happening to Adele, but mainly a lot of them. But hope you enjoyed the video, hope to see you in my next video. I might be live on Twitch after this video goes up. I'll put the link in the description, of course. I don't think I'm going to be streaming Maple today, though. Probably might do something different. Maybe Smash Bros. Or Monster Hunter or something. But anyway, thank you again for watching the video. Hopefully it helps out. And sorry that it was so late. I just did not feel like recording anything. Again, I'm not really a YouTuber, definitely more of a streamer. So, y'all have a good one. Goodbye.